ANC officials are divided over when Msiza and Florence Radzilani should return to their office. On Wednesday, Secretary-General Ace Magashule said the two alleged VBS looters and enablers would immediately assume their responsibilities as Deputy Chair and Treasurer.
The National Executive Committee took a decision to reinstate these two comrades immediately. Their reinstatement will be preceded by engagement with structures and affected stakeholders, which will be led by the ANC national officials.
But the national chair has a different interpretation of the ANC-NEC decision. Mantashe says they remain suspended until consultations are completed.
We took it that, listen, you can't bring back anybody immediately. We'll have to go to Limpopo. It's because we appreciated the importance of interacting with people who were on the refusing side of that issue.
Mantashe says Magashule was expressing his personal view.
Now, if the SG said immediately he is communicating his views, we are going to Limpopo, we're going to the PSC, we're going to the regions, we're going to go out in Limpopo, then bring them back.
The two are still out in the cold.
If they're in office, they are actually breaking the decision.
The ANC president and other party officials will now visit Limpopo to explain the rationale of lifting the suspensions of Msiza and Radzilani. Samkele Maseko, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Right, well, Pule Mabe is the ANC spokesperson and he now joins us via Skype. Mr. Mabe, thank you as always for joining us on SABC News. Welcome.
Afternoon to your viewers.
So where exactly does the ANC stand on the issue of Msiza and Florence Radzilani, who were implicated in the VBS looting? I mean, we're hearing two different stories then at this point. Yesterday, we heard Ace Magashule saying that they were exonerated and that they are now not going to be suspended and returning to work as usual. And now we're hearing Gwede Mantashe saying quite the opposite, that this is not what happens, that they're not just immediately reinstated. So where do we stand right now? Are they resuming their duties or not? What's the official stance from the ANC?
Well, thank you very much. I have had the opportunity to talk to the National Chair and the Secretary-General, who both agree with the conclusions of the National Executive Committee. Just to clarify, the report of the SABC and where they seem to have been a misunderstanding is on the use of the word immediate. What the statement of the ANC said, just to read it again, it said, the NEC therefore decided that the two comrades be reinstated to their position. Their reinstatement will be preceded by engagement with structures and stakeholders.
So that's a technicality. So that's a technicality. The word immediately was in fact used by your own. Yesterday there were questions posed to Mr. Ace Magashule, and in fact it was posed by our own journalist, and they asked whether or not these people will be reinstated or not. So when you say we used the word immediate, it was not us. It was your own people using that word, sir.
Yes, but can I come in?
You may, sir.
Can I come in?
Certainly.
Can I come in? Okay. Yes, correctly so. The SG said they are reinstated to their position immediately and that their reinstatement will be preceded. He used the word preceded, which is written on the statement of the ANC. I have shared with yourselves the statement of the ANC. It says that the reinstatement will be preceded by engagement with ANC structures. Perhaps on the constructive, because ANC officials are united as it relates to decisions of the National Executive Committee. I can tell your viewers now that the Secretary-General, together with the National Chair, and the DSG, the Treasurer General, the Deputy President, all officials of the ANC are this afternoon sitting, actually at this point, they are sitting with the Provincial Executive Committee of Limpopo to communicate the outcomes of the Provincial Executive Committee.
Mr. Mabe,
of the outcomes of the National Executive Committee.
Why is this a difficult issue? Surely, if you have members that are in fact implicated in any form of looting, whether it's VBS or whatever the situation is, surely we shouldn't be getting conflicting reports or conflicting views from different members and senior members of the ANC about what's going on. Surely it should be clear as day that if anybody is implicated, and senior members in fact in Limpopo are implicated, that in fact it should be very simple that they are suspended, and then of course we would then be awaiting the results of your investigation, or an investigation that will then be conducted. Why are we hearing conflicting reports from the ANC? Surely you have heard in this way. Gwede Mantashe and Ace Magashule are saying two different things, and that's the point of the matter, sir.
Okay, can I assist you?
Sure.
No one was suspended. Comrades were asked to step aside. There was a process that went on for 2 years. They have not been charged of any wrongdoing. The National Executive Committee, which includes the chair, the national chair, and the Secretary-General, in its collective wisdom, agreed that these two comrades must be reinstated. I think, just to give context, I think so that there is no confusion.
If they were not suspended, why are they reinstated? If they were not suspended, why are they being reinstated, sir?
Can you allow me to speak?
Sure.
They were asked to step aside because you see, it's going to be important that you allow us to speak so that on our behalf and behalf of our structures we clarify our decisions. They were asked to step aside. There was a process that was being undertaken by the Integrity Commission. They have not been charged at this stage. Being asked to step aside doesn't mean that you are charged of any wrongdoing. The National Executive Committee, out of its own collective wisdom, arrived at a view that they must return to their position, but therefore said that the returning to their position will be preceded by an engagement that must be led by our national officials, which is happening today with the Provincial Executive Committee of Limpopo. Out of respect of structures, when you take such a decision, you ought to notify them. Remember, even when we took a decision that they should step aside, this NEC of the ANC took the courage to go and communicate its decision to structures. The same will have to happen when a different decision is arrived at or a different determination is made about the fate of this comrade.
So, all right, so we're arguing the issue of stepping aside versus suspension. Let me leave the word suspension and put it to one side. You asked Mr. Msiza and Ms. Radzilani to step aside based on what?
Well, they were asked to step aside. This was following the release of the VBS report, which would have mentioned them. The expectation at the time was, because the matter was referred to the Integrity Committee to look into, you would have expected that at a certain point there will have to be a pronouncement on the fate of these two comrades. Well, following a 2-year period, the NEC made a determination that there has not been any finding that sought to suggest that this comrade should be charged of this or that wrongdoing. Now, we have to observe the rules of natural justice. These comrades have adhered to what the ANC said they must do. They stood aside when asked to do so. The National Executive Committee had taken the decision that it has now taken, and on its behalf, it is going to the structure of the ANC in Limpopo through its national officials to formally communicate its decision to the structure of the ANC.
All right. So at the moment, the issue of VBS is still being looked into, and certainly there will be some people who are found to have indeed been looting within the VBS. So there's no question about that. The fact of the matter is that money was stolen. What happens in a case that, again, it is proven through courts, through structures? I mean, we keep hearing that they haven't been proven guilty, they haven't been shown to be guilty, and a person is presumed innocent until they are proven to be guilty. Should the ANC find that their own senior officials are indeed then guilty, will you then be going back to apologize and say to the people, look, we apologize for not suspending these people and the way that we moved on this? What will then be the way forward once we have answers coming through the courts?
Well, the rules of the ANC as it relates to individuals who are found guilty of wrongdoing are quite clear. Remember that the ANC National Executive Committee taking a decision, let me clarify what you keep hearing that, but these are two comrades who are not even charged. They are not charged by the NPA, the National Prosecuting Authority, which has got the prosecutorial authority to charge individuals and subject them to a court of law where they will have all the right to stand and argue their own cases. So for their own sake, I think we should also just for a while respect their own integrities, because besides being mentioned in the Terry Mutau report, they have not been charged of any wrongdoing. And the ANC, in pronouncing this decision, did say that we are not speaking on the guilt or innocence of individuals. Actually, the preceding line, after we have spoken about reinstatement, we said that law enforcement agencies must act with the necessary speed, including investigating cases of murder where those who are known to have been whistleblowers on the VBS saga had been killed, and called on the law enforcement agencies that they need to make sure that they keep the public updated. If they are individuals in the African National Congress found to have erred or to be in the wrong on this specific matter or any other matter that gives the ANC a wrong name, law enforcement agencies must act. We are quite serious in our fight against corruption. Actually, one of the things that the NEC said should be the tasks of members going forward is that our members need to embrace ethical leadership well within institutions of state, and that our members should make sure that we fight against corruption relentlessly. We expose those known or to be involved in corrupt acts who are giving the ANC a bad name, in the same way that we did. That when our over 4,000 councillors of the ANC were doing their work quite well, we could not allow only 14 or 15 councillors found to be in the wrong with the distribution of food parcels to give these men and women of great fortitude and courage who are leading the ANC so well to earn a bad name because of out of the few. Then we have said that if they are those in our ranks known to be doing things that undermine the compact that we are building with the people of South Africa, such individuals should be named and shamed and should be exposed for what they stand for.
All right, Mr. Mabe, thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon on SABC News. Thank you for your time, sir.
No, thank you very much.
All right.